Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. I am back after an exhausting 24-hour period and a slight break. I am ready to go. This is a clip of me narrating yesterday. Yep, it was just like that. I got good news for you. John came walking in, a little sheepishly, I might add. What's up, John? You all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good to see you. You kind of punked me out yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
It make you sad?
Yeah, it did make me a little bit sad yesterday. I struggled yesterday, messed a lot of stuff up. I could have used my numbers guy. So listen, it's all good, but you got to be tough. You got to be a soldier. We're in tough times right now, all right? Maybe one of these days you might be a soldier. You might even join the Air Force someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so listen, it's all good. We're going to get to it, all right?
You love me?
I do love you. Everybody loves you. Let's get going. Post 1981, 15 minutes after the hour of 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We get these two links here. This is the first one to Fox News. Chinese company reportedly hacked Clinton's server, got copy of every email in real time. A Chinese state-owned company reportedly hacked former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's email server, then inserted code that forwarded them a copy of virtually every email she sent or received after that, a revelation President Trump is demanding be investigated. The Daily Caller reported that the firm operating in the D.C. area wrote code that was then embedded in the server and generated a courtesy copy for almost all of her emails, which was then forwarded to the Chinese company. The code reportedly was discovered in 2015 by the Intelligence Community Inspector General, which then warned FBI officials of the intrusion. A source briefed on the matter confirmed to Fox News the details of the caller's reporting and said that the ICIG was so concerned by the revelation that officials drove over to the FBI to inform agents, including anti-Trump agent Peter Strzok, of the development after it was discovered via the email's metadata. The source told Fox News the hack was from a Chinese company, describing it as a front for Chinese intelligence. A second source briefed on the matter told Fox News that officials outside of the FBI indicated code on the Clinton server suggested a foreign source was receiving copies of emails in real time. The hacking report caught the attention late Tuesday of President Trump, who warned that the FBI and DOJ should act or their credibility will be forever gone. But the FBI disputes the claims. The FBI has not found any evidence the servers were compromised, an FBI official told Fox News, and referred to the Justice Department's Inspector General report in June. That report detailed how the FBI conducted intrusion analyses into the server to look for the evidence the accounts on the servers had been accessed. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Chunying also responded to Trump's tweet saying, "This isn't the first time we've heard similar kinds of allegations. China is a staunch defender of cybersecurity. We firmly oppose and crack down on any form of internet attacks and the stealing of secrets," she said, according to Reuters. The ICIG declined to comment. Clinton's office did not respond to a request for comment, but a spokesman told the Daily Caller the FBI spent thousands of hours investigating and found no evidence of intrusion. That's a fact. Fox News reported in March that Strzok was advised of an irregularity in the metadata of Clinton's server that suggested a possible breach, but no follow-up action was taken. Furthermore, a May 2016 email from Strzok obtained by Fox News earlier this year said, "We know foreign actors obtained access to some Clinton emails, including at least one secret message via compromises of the private email accounts of Clinton's staffers." Representative Louis Gohmert of Texas asked Strzok in a House Oversight Committee hearing in July whether he was briefed about an anomaly on Clinton's emails found by ICIG officials. "You were given that information and you did nothing with it," Gohmert told Strzok in July. Strzok said he remembered meeting with the ICIG officials but did not remember the contents of the meeting and that every allegation was forwarded to experts who looked at it carefully. "If there was a lead, I gave it to the team," Strzok said as a part of a heated back and forth between the two. Strzok was fired this month after controversy surrounding anti-Trump texts he sent to FBI lawyer Lisa Page, with whom he was having an affair. Reached by phone Tuesday, Gohmert told Fox News on Tuesday that the emails were obtained by a foreign country's intelligence, but he declined to name the country in question. He said there was no sign that Strzok and the FBI had taken any action when informed by the ICIG, and no indication that they even informed Clinton. He told Fox News he was surprised that his questioning about it in the Strzok hearing in July didn't generate more media attention, but noted that the press seized on a comment he made shortly afterwards when he asked Strzok, "How many times did you look into your wife's eyes and lie about Lisa Page?" It's critically important, he said when asked about the significance of the server revelation. There are countries that would pay a tremendous amount of money to know what Clinton was saying, doing, and thinking through her emails, what she's doing, who she's going to meet, what she thought about meetings, not necessarily classified, but critically important, and those emails were compromised, and people like Strzok, when they were briefed, knew this would devastate her chances of being elected, and they weren't about to do anything to hurt those chances. Then FBI Director James Comey concluded the FBI's investigation into Clinton's emails in July 2016, saying that while Clinton had been extremely careless in her handling of classified information, he would not recommend charges to the DOJ. So I think we see what's up here. The deep state, who loves to peddle and point their pathetic projection, can't project this one, can they? Because it's not President Trump's server, it's Clinton's server, right? So it's all about them. So projection, you got to take that out of the equation. So what's next? Deflection. Well, you can't deflect that either because it's your server, it's your emails. So what do you got to do next? You go to what the next logical step would be. Victimhood. Oh, I was hacked. Oh, no, we all know what's up, all right? But let's just for a second, bear with me. Let's all pretend that we're dumb. I know it's a stretch, but just breathe in. And now we're dumb, okay? Oh, no, Clinton's server got hacked by a Chinese company. Oh, it's so terrible. We should do something about it. Well, it was reported in 2015 by this ICIG. Seems pretty legit. And it seems so legit to them, they were so concerned they drove over to the FBI to tell Peter Strzok. But Peter Strzok said, no, it's all good. We're good. And the FBI disputed the claim, said they didn't find anything. Seems like it was all good. Well, the kicker in this article here is right here. Further, a May 2016 email from Strzok obtained by Fox News earlier this year said, we know foreign actors obtained access to some Clinton emails, including at least one secret message via compromises of the private email accounts of Clinton staffers. Okay, well, we all know how much that Peter Strzok loves Clinton. That's your girl. And we're still dumb. We're still dumb here. We're not yet smart again. So we got to do something about this. These are big state secrets that are getting out, and we've got to protect Miss Clinton. So we had this hack that was sending things out to people that we kind of wanted to have all this info in real time, and they were getting it, and they were also kind of the same people that were giving the Clinton Foundation a whole bunch of money. I don't think I feel so dumb anymore. This is dumb. This story is dumb. Let's face it. We all know that Clinton sells everything at bulk. She's like Costco, right? What you want, I got it for you. And China was taking advantage of it. And what we're really seeing here, we've known about this story for a long time, especially if you've been following QAnon. But what's important about it now is the fact that, once again, this is starting to seep out into the public narrative. And that's what's crucial, because there will be no way to really deflect it. They're going to have to play victim, or they're going to have to cop to it. That's the only choice that they have. Now, I lived in China a couple times, and I actually bought, what did I buy? I bought a Apple, one of those original Apple MacBooks, the little white ones. And I loved it. And I think I bought a couple phones there too. I had to use them out there, and they were just full of malware. So we know that China just loves to take data. And of course, they've got their own version of DARPA out there. And we won't go way into that, but we know that they're all about data. And of course, they would love to have Hillary Clinton's data. They'd pay bazillions for it. And you know that Clinton is not going to let that kind of opportunity pass. So we know this was all sold, but this is all they've got, is to just cry victim, because they can't project and they can't deflect. I plucked this tweet from off the thread of Lisa Mae Crowley earlier today, because I'm a tweet plucking ninja. But I thought it was relevant. This guy, Jeff Wagner 13 says, sold. I ran an EB5 investor center, and her brother had one in MS with Tony Rodham. And Tony Rodham's always up to something good, isn't he? They raised $180 million or so by illegally taking money and offering green cards to members of the Communist Party officials in exchange. I sued them over other issues. Yeah, well, that was the same as our Wang issue. He had a green card too, and he was able to donate $2 million to the Clinton Foundation. Thanks, Jeff, for that, and thanks, Lisa May. This next article comes from Reuters. Congressman Nunes sought meeting with UK spy chiefs in London. Congressman Devin Nunes, chairman of the U.S. House Intelligence Committee and a strong supporter of President Donald Trump, sought unsuccessfully to meet chiefs of Britain's 3 intelligence agencies on a recent visit to London, according to 2 sources familiar with his itinerary. The sources said representatives of the British agencies initially considered meeting with Nunes during the trip, which took place in recent weeks, but that scheduling difficulties made it impossible. Ultimately, the sources said, after consultation with the 3 agencies, MI5, MI6, and GCHQ, Prime Minister Theresa May's Deputy National Security Advisor, Madeleine Alessandre, met Nunes. His London visit and his unsuccessful effort to meet British spy chiefs were originally reported by The Atlantic. Nunes and staffers working for him have used congressional powers to investigate persons and organizations Trump and his supporters view as enemies. Okay, so Nunes cruises over the pond to talk about what's going on with this Christopher Steele stuff. What's going on with all this MI6y stuff. And it looks like nobody wants to talk to him, huh? Why not? After all, Steele produced a dossier of allegations against Trump, which received little media attention before the election, but set off a political firestorm after its publication by the BuzzFeed website in January 2017. And it just goes on to say here that they didn't really have any kind of comment or whatever. So, looks like he's getting a bum steer out there in the UK. What's up? You don't want to talk about it now, huh? You most certainly wanted to talk about Trump when you had the information at the right time. And you most certainly wanted to talk about it when you put it on BuzzFeed and Yahoo and all those different TV leakers that were going on, being interviewed about it, talking about what a bombshell it was. Everybody wanted to talk about it. Now, nobody wants to talk about it. How about that? Let's move on. Post 1982. Q gives us another link to the New York Times. Says starting in 2010, HRC Secretary of State 2009 to 2013. Coincidence? Think server access, granted in brackets. Money talks. CrowdStrike in brackets. Q. So let's go to this article from the New York Times. Now we're over here on this New York Times article that we read yesterday. Killing CIA informants, China crippled U.S. spying operations. The Chinese government systematically dismantled CIA spying operations in the country starting in 2010, killing or imprisoning more than a dozen sources over 2 years and crippling intelligence gathering there for years afterwards. It started in 2010. And I'm going to sum it up with the same line I summed it up yesterday with. Still others were put in jail. All told, the Chinese killed or imprisoned 18 to 20 of the CIA's sources in China, according to 2 former senior American officials, effectively unraveling a network that had taken years to build. And meanwhile, Peter Strzok around the same time saying, not such a big deal. Meanwhile, in China, they say, 不对. It was a very big deal. They killed or imprisoned 18 to 20. That's the ones that we know of. So this was a very big deal to China. They didn't take very kindly to this. And this was going on back since 2010. Q says starting in 2010, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Secretary of State, 2009 to 2013. What do you say we just call her Hillary Rome Clinton? Because all roads seem to lead back to her. Coincidence? Of course not. It's Hillary Rodham Clinton. Q says, think sever access. Granted, money talks, CrowdStrike. Okay, we get it. This was all access granted, just as long as you contributed to HRC. And of course, CrowdStrike would handle it all, and no one would be the wiser, except for the NSA. Well, Hillary's for sale. We all know she's for sale. I don't think I need to explain to you that she's for sale. We know she's for sale. Q does go and clarify with this missing R here in the next post. 1983, 23 minutes after the hour of 10. Q left out R in the server. Q says error not intended. Q. Well, I will take Q for their word. Let's go to 1984, 25 minutes after the hour of 11. We get this from an Anon. Looks like a screenshot of a Google search for QAnon. About 3,850,000 results. Nothing to see here. Q. Well, People are Googling Q. They're searching Q. They're searching out Q. It's growing by the day. We really don't have any idea what the numbers are because, of course, Google is messing with all those numbers. And Google's got such a big stranglehold, as well as, of course, this channel on YouTube. Google's got a massive stranglehold. That needs to change. But it looks like people are sure searching it out. Looks like big numbers, all for a LARP, huh? Let's move on. Post 1985, 47 minutes after the hour of 11, Q takes us back to this May 4th post. And I'm just going to scroll you down here because Q copies the relevant part. Do you notice a pattern? Bruce Orr, demoted twice. Cooperating witness, power removed, House testimony. Well, we just got his testimony. It was behind closed doors. We're not exactly sure what he said. I have sort of predicted that he is going to sing. I don't necessarily think he's going to sing like a bird. They said he sort of had a selective and kind of faulty memory, but they did say that he was cooperating. He has every reason to. He has very little reason not to at this point, in my opinion. Then we get to Peter Strzok. And, of course, he was smarmy and slithery and arrogant, just like this guy right here. But he was a cooperating witness. And let me memorize you that Peter Strzok also gave testimony first behind closed doors. So I do think it's very possible that Peter Strzok maybe was giving a inward narrative testimony and an outward narrative testimony. After all, Peter Strzok has a lot to lose. He's knee deep in this. And he's also highly implicated in all of this because of his extreme bias. But if he goes singing on national TV, I think we all know what happens to Peter Strzok. And we can't allow that to happen until this is all done. So you can let me know what you think down below, but I tend to think that what we saw on TV was not completely what we saw behind closed doors. Now, how much of a difference there is between remains to be seen. Now, Lisa Page, also cooperating witness, gave testimony behind closed doors only. I have a feeling that so far she was, in this group at least, maybe one of the most helpful. And that's just my opinion, but I can't help but think that although her reputation is tarnished and she is going to be punished, and rightfully so, I do think she has probably the most to gain by coming clean. And I think that she was also probably the least implicated in all of this, if there is such a thing. What she did obviously was terrible, but she has the most reason to sing because she has the most to gain. Like I said, just my opinion. Bill Priestap. I don't know why I call him Priestaps. There's only one of them. Bill Priestap, cooperating witness, to be called. Mike Cortan to be called. Mike Cortan was the associate director of public affairs. Bill Priestap was Peter Strzok's superior. Okay, head of counterintelligence. So I imagine Bill Priestap is going to be very, very difficult. But we do know that more of these people were going to get called back to Washington. We talked about it maybe 2 weeks ago, if you've been following my channel. I believe it was, forgive me if I'm wrong. I thought it was maybe Chuck Grassley had gone on TV saying that some of these people were going to come back. Might have been Devin Nunes. But anyway, so we know that these guys are going to come. They're going to give some testimony. We've got 2 remaining. Well, who are they cooperating with? Well, they don't seem to be cooperating with Mueller, do they? I mean, I thought we were talking about Russian collusion. I don't know what we're talking about anymore, but they most certainly aren't dealing with Mueller, are they? So who would they be cooperating with? Very simple. Horowitz, Huber. Horowitz, Huber. Do you believe in coincidences? The more you know. Q. Q adds on in post 1986, 51 minutes after the hour of 11. Notice those stated as cooperating are called before the House to provide testimony. We did notice. Thanks, Q. 2 remaining. Yep, got it. Cortan and Priestap. Enjoy the show, Q. I do, and I have a secret for you. Check it out. I have 2 things for you to listen to. Number 1, popcorn. Number 2, M&M's. My favorite, popcorn and M&M's. I'm ready to go. Enjoy the show. Q, let's move on. Post 1987, 23 minutes after the hour of 12 Eastern Standard Time, and Anon posts a couple tweets here from Paul Sperry. This is his Twitter over here. Former DC Bureau Chief for Investors Business Daily. And he says about Mueller, Mueller hasn't interviewed Bruce Orr, but apparently John Huber hasn't either, even though Huber was tapped by Sessions to investigate the FISA abuses. More reason to wonder how effective a U.S. attorney can be cleaning up corruption in Washington when he's based in Salt Lake City. More and more, Mueller's investigation into Russian collusion appears to be designed not to protect the country, but to protect his former FBI DOJ regime and their political espionage crimes. He has to find something, anything, to justify their crimes. Now, the rest of this just kind of goes on to what we already know about a little bit about Huber, as well as Bruce Orr's role in all this. And Q gives us this Gateway Pundit link, which we're not going to cover because it's basically essentially the same thing here. You can see Paul Sperry's tweets right here. Same stuff. We get down to here, and Q says, logical thinking. How did this fake, misleading story pop up? And then it gives us a date to a Hannity video, 8/28/18. And then it gives us this YouTube link, and if you go to that, it takes you here. Sorry, page not available. But don't worry, because I already played this video for you yesterday, and there it is. So we're going to play it, and we're going to cue it up to the 24:50 mark. Huber, contact my office regarding Bruce Orr. Let's take a listen.
This is Sean, that there's a guy named John Huber who's been, he's the U.S. Attorney for Utah, who's been tasked by Jeff Sessions to investigate FISA abuse. Well, my recommendation to Mr. Huber would be for him to contact my office and ask for a copy of the transcript of Bruce Orr, and I'll make his job a lot easier.
Okay, so that's what he has to say. Now we're going to go to the 30:45 mark right here.
Joe DeGeneres. What we know is that Bruce Orr also, we just learned, was not interviewed by Mr. Huber out in Utah, who allegedly is investigating all of the FISA abuse and the unmasking. Sean, if Mr. Mueller wants to subpoena the president, he can certainly try, but he's going to lose, and the reason is very simple. The special counsel has already interviewed the president's lawyer, Mr. McGahn, for 30 hours. Anything that he learned from him, that's the president's knowledge. The president, therefore, under the law, is not readily available. He's under no obligation to testify. And if Mr. Mueller pursues a subpoena, he's going to lose it in the Supreme Court because he already has all the information he needs. And then there's one more very important thing. He's using the grand jury for impeachment. That's an unconstitutional use of the grand jury, and that's another reason he's going to lose. You cannot use grand jury subpoenas to get testimony. So what he'll do.
Okay, so the second point is actually a really good point, and that's why I let it play a little bit. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Bruce Orr, okay? So one is saying, Huber, contact my office regarding Bruce Orr. And then Joji Genova says, just learned that Bruce Orr was not interviewed by Huber. So did you just learn it from earlier in the video? Well, Q seems to imply that they did. 30:45 based on statements regarding 24:50. And the statements at 24:50 were statements made by a congressman who does not know if Huber has already interviewed Bruce Orr. See how fake news works? See how clickbait works? See how emotional pushes to target readers works? Q. Well, that's exactly how it works. One guy hears it and they pass it along. And next thing you know, it's like high school gossip, right? So we don't really know for sure, or do we? I think we're going to get some clarity in the next post. Let's move on. Post 1988, 29 minutes after the hour of 12 Eastern Standard. An Anon posts another link here, and Q confirms. This link right here is the link to the video that we just saw. The one that Q was trying to link over here that didn't work. Okay, that's all that is. Let's move on to 1989. 18 minutes after the hour of 1 p.m. And you'll see two links here. This second link I'm not going to because it's actually the archive. It's the one that takes us away from the page. But this is where you would end up getting this. And we talked about this yesterday too. This is a memo from March 15th, 2018. And it's addressed to the Honorable Jeff Sessions and the Honorable Rod Rosenstein. We're not going to cover a whole bunch of this here. This is from, there it is, Chuck Grassley, John Cornyn, Lindsey Graham, and Tom Tillis. And Q is asking us to check footnote 5, which is down here on page 5. There it is. And you can see it. Let me see if I can blow it up. Highlighted in pink. Oh, look at that. It looks like we do have some interviews with Bruce Orr already. And Q's done us a favor of showing them to us. Bruce Orr interview dates. Now, we have these first four that seem to be in the previous administration, interviewed by the FBI. And it looks like he had it 4 times within the period of a month. And then we have these next 3 regarding the POTUS with James Comey. And then these next couple right here looks to be February 2017, within just a little over a week of each other. Once again, James Comey and Inspector General, which I would assume be Horowitz. And then this one is interesting. May 8th, we have an interview date regarding POTUS. And this is 1 day prior to James Comey's firing. Now, I'm over here on Slate magazine, and I've already just brought it to you. On May 8th, Trump directed Attorney General Jeff Sessions and Rosenstein to produce memos to justify firing Comey. On May 9th, Rosenstein sent his memo to Sessions with sharp criticism of Comey, concluding the FBI is unlikely to regain public and congressional trust until it has a director who understands the gravity of the mistakes and pledges never to repeat them. Having refused to admit his errors, the director cannot be expected to implement the necessary corrective actions. On May 18, 2017, Rosenstein told senators that he knew Comey would be fired before he wrote his memo. Okay. So that was 1 day prior to James Comey. And then we have Rod Rowe in brackets. Now, for those of you who are new to following QAnon, this might be new, but for those of you who've been following for a while, you remember, very much like we're talking about Jeff Sessions and how he's lasted so long, we were not able to believe that Rod Rosenstein, we thought it was 3-2-1 Rod Rowe, right? We thought he was going out the dough. But he's managed to hang around, hasn't he? And there's been a lot of debate. White hat, black hat, gray hat. Could it be this was a reconciling day, 1 day prior, where Rod Rosenstein comes out with his memo? Next thing you know, James Comey gets canned. Now we have these next 2 dates right here, which look to be around May. As a matter of fact, just a few days within each other. And this is also regarding the POTUS with Horowitz. Meetings not yet released. We've still got 7 to go. Could be in those 20 pages. Who knows? We're not really sure. Now, I want to talk about Hannity for a second. Hannity's been complaining about all this, and he's sort of been leading the charge. And you have to kind of understand, this is just my opinion, but I do think I'm right on this. Hannity, before he can drop the bomb, needs to create the panic a little bit. That's what creates the public awareness. As much as it is frustrating because of the enormity of all these situations, it's easy to get impatient. But even for Hannity, who needs to sometimes create a little bit of a fuss before he can finally provide you with the reliefs. After all, he is mainstream media, and he's an important talking point, regardless of whether you like him or not. So I imagine it would not surprise me if we see these dates come out over the next few weeks, and Hannity breaks it as a breaking news story. Breaking news! We've got new news of 7 new meetings that we never knew about, the blah, 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 blah. You understand how this works, right? And maybe, after all, maybe as they're puffing and huffing, I meant to say huffing and puffing, but you can puff and huff too. Doesn't matter what order. I'm inclusive. They're crying, hey, Huber never interviewed Bruce Orr. But it looks like the IG did quite a few times. So they're not really lying either. So it's fake news. But it's not lying fake news. It's just fake news. Let's move on. Post 1990, 48 minutes after the hour of 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shall we play a game? Yes. You had me at shall we, Q. DNI.gov link is right here, where we meet Tanya Ugaretz, a career FBI intelligence analyst currently assigned to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, as Director of the Cyber Threat Intelligence Integration Center. She joined the government in 2001 as a Presidential Management Fellow and as an all-source analyst with the FBI's counterterrorism program. In 2003, she became the first analyst to serve as the FBI Director's daily intelligence briefer. Okay. Now, we're not going to cover her whole bio because Q gets to the point right here. Ms. Ugaretz oversaw intelligence products and briefings for the FBI Director and the Attorney General, as well as FBI analyst contributions to the President's daily brief. Well, this is pretty important here. She was involved in this right here. Who discovered the Chinese link to HRC's servers? And we just need to go back here to this Fox link, right? Where we heard The code reportedly was discovered in 2015 by the Intelligence Community Inspector General, ICIG, which then warned FBI officials of the intrusion. A source briefed on the matter confirmed to Fox the details of the caller's reporting and said that the ICIG was so concerned by the revelation that officials drove over to the FBI to inform agents, including anti-Trump agent Peter Strzok. Okay, so that was the ICIG. Well, it looks like they were the one who discovered the link and they reported it, and it didn't seem to matter. Who reported the discovery? We'll find out in the next post. But who inserted the discovery into the presidential daily brief? Well, this Miss Ugaretz would be a perfect candidate, wouldn't she? Now, if you remember, there was a big discord between President Obama at the time and the intelligence community, who was really frustrated that he wasn't showing up to the presidential daily briefs. Now, this was before 2015 that it really started, but it kind of carried out through his presidency. So I'm thinking a couple different things. Is it possible that Ms. Ugaretz was basically trying to warn the president, black hat style? Or could it be that she knew that since this was going on and the president wasn't really checking all those briefs, that maybe she would just insert the discovery here and there and create a paper trail, making her a white hat? You can let me know what you think down below. Let's move on to the next post. 1991. 7 minutes after the hour, 4 p.m., we get this couple links right here. The first is to the Daily Caller. Gomer, watchdog found Clinton emails were sent to foreign entity. A member of the House Committee on the Judiciary said during a hearing Thursday that a government watchdog found that nearly all of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's emails were sent to a foreign entity and that the FBI didn't follow up on that finding. The Intelligence Community Inspector General, ICIG, found an anomaly on Hillary Clinton's emails going through their private server, and when they had done the forensic analysis, they found that her emails, every single one except for over 30,000, were going to an address that was not on the distribution list. Republican Representative Louis Gomer of Texas said during a hearing with FBI official Peter Strzok. It was going to an unauthorized source that was a foreign entity, unrelated to Russia, he added. Gomer said the ICIG investigator Frank Rucker presented the findings to Strzok, but that the FBI official did not do anything with the information. Okay, so it was this guy, Frank Rucker, who was the one who reported and discovered the Chinese language. Well, I don't know if he discovered it himself personally, but he reported the discovery, and Peter Strzok ignored it. Strzok acknowledged meeting with Rucker, but said he did not recall the specific content. Well, if he was such a Clinton lover, you would think he'd remember. The forensic examination was done by the ICIG, and they can document that, Gomer said. But you were given that information, and you did nothing with it. He also said that someone alerted the Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz to the issue. Mr. Horowitz got a call 4 times from someone wanting to brief him about this, and he never returned the call, Gomer said. The ICIG previously caught problems regarding Clinton's server that the FBI missed. The Bureau didn't notice that some emails were openly marked classified with a C when they were sent. The ICIG spotted the oversight after the FBI missed it. Text between Peter Strzok and his mistress, former FBI lawyer Lisa Page show. Holy cow, Strzok wrote. If the FBI missed this, what else was missed? Remind me to tell you to flag for Andy redacted emails we actually ICIG found that have portion marks on a couple of paragraphs. DOJ was very concerned about this. So Strzok didn't want to do anything about it, but he was happy to text about it. Look at these emails. In late 2017, ICIG Chuck McCullough, who was appointed by former President Barack Obama, took the unusual step of coming forward publicly to say that he perceived pushback after he began raising the alarm about issues with Clinton servers to then Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. And of course, we know James Clapper was the one who was eventually leaking all the material to the mainstream media. He said he found it maddening that Democrats, including Senator Dianne Feinstein, who had a nice little Chinese driver / liaison / chef / masseuse / personal trainer, were underselling the amount of classified information on the server. McCullough said he expected to be embraced and protected, but was instead chided by someone on Capitol Hill for failing to consider the political consequences of investigative findings, Fox News reported. Okay, so you get the idea. This was all brought up before. And it just shows that Peter Strzok didn't care, because he obviously thought it was important in his text to Lisa Page. So we clearly see more bias. And this isn't really new news here. It's relatively new, I suppose, in the outward narrative. But we see now more links now to China, taking us away from Russia. And this link takes us here. Another Fox link. Chinese hackers stole sensitive data on U.S. Navy submarine weaponry, report says. This was reported on June 10th. A series of cyber attacks sponsored by Chinese government hackers earlier this year infiltrated the computers of a U.S. Navy contractor, allowing a large amount of highly sensitive data on undersea warfare to reportedly be stolen. We were looking for some of that. The breaches, which took place in January and February, included leaked plans to develop a supersonic anti-ship missile for use on U.S. Navy submarines, U.S. officials told the Washington Post. A contractor who works for the Naval Undersea Warfare Center in Newport, Rhode Island, a research and development center for submarines and underwater weaponry, was the target of the hackers, the Post reported. While the unnamed officials did not identify the contractor, they told the newspaper that a total of 614 gigabytes of material was taken. Included in that data was information about a secret project known as Sea Dragon, in addition to signals and sensor data and the Navy Submarine Development Unit's electronic warfare library. The Washington Post said it agreed to withhold some details of what was stolen at the request of the U.S. Navy over fears it could compromise national security. A Navy spokesman told Fox News in a statement, the service branch will not comment on specific incidents, but cyber threats are serious matters officials are working to continuously bolster awareness of. Okay, so if you remember early on in President Trump's presidency, he started talking about intellectual property when he would talk about China. And it would almost seem like he was getting off topic when he would say it. It was almost like he was derailing the conversation, but it really made quite a bit of sense. And funny thing, I was just about to go into this, and it mentions it. We had this before. We had stolen designs for this F-35. And then next thing you know, China pops up with this F-35 faux model that they came up with that was basically like a ripoff of it. So we've seen this before, and that's essentially what this was all about with these servers and the access that Clinton was giving these people. And it wasn't just Clinton, it was Brennan too, it was a lot of people, but basically, essentially, we can trace it back all to Clinton. So this is what the intellectual property was. Sensitive data, and it was all regarding weapons, planes, subs, missiles. This was the stuff that the Chinese were really, really interested in. They weren't that interested in the emails necessarily. They wanted access to all this stuff. Taking you back to post 1970, where Q was responding to an Anon who had said, "Thanks for selling all our secrets to the highest bidder, Hillary. She should be locked up." Where Q says, "You didn't think military planes were falling out of the skies all within a short period of time just by chance, did you? Outside of the standard deviation?" Well, for those of you who are new to Q, you see what's going on here. All of this intellectual property that was going over to China was to help them fund building their own projects, of course, but it was also allowing them to control things like military planes as well as civilian planes. And this is why we're seeing all these plane crashes going on, because a lot of this stuff is being controlled. And a lot of this stuff was military secrets that were being sold to the highest bidder by this knucklehead right here. Let's move on.
You done left fingerprints and all. You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Post 1992. We get this screenshot. Google QAnon. And you can see all these results. And we were talking about this earlier. Nothing to see here, Q. Remember this post from yesterday. And then Q posts this Twitter link to Donald Trump's status here. And let's take a look at this video here with the hashtag #StopTheBias. Well, as you can see in that short little video clip right there, Google always has been very supportive of then President Obama, whom we now call Hussein. And anytime he had a speech or something important to say, Google would pump it up. But as far as President Donald Trump goes, nowhere to be found. We get crickets. And of course, now they're trying to clown him in the media right now for complaining about this sort of thing, that when you Google his name, everything that pops up is basically out there to clown him or to disparage him. Well, we clearly see that this is irresponsible of the media. And the only thing that's going to fix this is some sort of internet bill of rights, which I can't help but think this is all leading to. Let's take you to the next post. 1993. 23 minutes after the hour of 6 p.m., we get this Twitter status right here from Louis Gohmert, Representative Louis Gohmert from Texas. It's not surprising that the FBI has not found any evidence regarding Clinton's servers being breached. Like I stated to former FBI agent Peter Strzok in the House Judiciary hearing, it was the Obama-appointed Intelligence Community Inspector General. And then this is basically just his official statement on what he just said in the tweet right there. So I think we all know what's going on here. They ignored all the warnings, and it didn't seem very important to Strzok at the time. But it sure seemed pretty important when he was texting Lisa Page. And I have no idea why CNN's not reporting this. Why is CNN not reporting this, Hannity?
They watch this show because it's more interesting.
Well, thank you very much. Flattery will get you everywhere. Thanks, Hannity. Post 1994, 38 minutes after the hour of 6 p.m., and Anon says, "Hey Q, Irish Anon here. Here since post number 1. Getting married soon. We want to dedicate a song to the team. Take 5 minutes out of your hectic schedule, knock your heads together, and pick a tune. Where we go one, we go all." And Q responds, "Congratulations. Those who pull the trigger seem to prefer." And we get this YouTube link to this band right here. And I'm not going to play it for you. Actually, you know what? I am going to play you the very beginning. Let's hear this right here.
America's the greatest land on earth, and we ought to be proud of what we have. I'm proud of America. I'm proud of our people, and I'm going to prove it. We're American and damn proud of it. Frankly, I'm getting a little ticked off. Go to hell.
So there you go. This is by the band Dink Green Mind. I'm not really sure if there's anything that we should be looking into in this song other than maybe that Q is just referring to some of the soldiers, probably who pull the trigger, probably tend to like that jam. But I thought that was interesting audio in the beginning there. Q says, not exactly wedding material, but great when in the action. To each their own. And of course, that link will be on the Q page here too, so you can check it out if you want to see it. All right, let's move on. Adding to that, post 1995, we get the Pain Punisher logo. There's a lot of military outfits that sort of use this logo. Most notably for me would be SEAL Team 6 that use this Punisher logo here. I tend to think personally this may be a reference to Huber. Q has said often, bring the pain, or here comes the pain. And who would be the one who's eventually going to drop that hammer but Huber? So I'm guessing that this could be a reference to Huber and what he's about to bring. You can let me know what you think down below. Let me just touch on this real quick. I wanted to point out that in the plot of The Punisher, the guy's name is Frank Castle, former military guy. There's a lot of interesting correlations here in this plot. But he takes on the mob. Guess where? New York City. So a lot of this that's going on, whether it's the Hillary Clinton emails, the laptop, Eric Schneiderman, it's all going down where? Southern District of New York, right? Well, Huber's not from New York, but hopefully he can bring down the pain in New York. So you can let me know what you think, but it looks like either way, pain is coming soon. All right, that's all I got for you today. These are your Q posts. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please understand that Susan Wojcicki from YouTube, she hates you and she hates me, and she's going to unclick you and she's going to unconnect you and she's going to unsubscribe you. So never give her a piece of cake. And speaking of cake, do I smell something? Do I smell something coming up? Oh, we're getting really close. Let's have some cake soon, huh? What do you say? So do me a favor, please share this video. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all you do. You can find all my links down below in the video description to my BitChute, my Gab, my Real.Video, my email, as well as my Patreon. If you would like to support the channel, I greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. And until next time, stay hungry.